Hey guys, hope you're doing well. So we're wrapping up our algebra solving equations unit. We're officially done. So I wanted to post a quick video going over all of the major concepts that we've covered the past couple weeks. A lot of you didn't get the chance to go and try all these questions. You probably have other courses to worry about, other things going on. So what I ask is if you watch this video, just do your best on your own time to try some of these questions out, because if you go into next year not knowing anything about algebra, it's going to be kind of tricky for you. But if you can recognize some of the terms, concepts, and ideas, it'll definitely help. So I'm going to do this as quick as I can, as best as I can, and just try to go through all the major things we've talked about. All right? So we started with integer rules in our knowledge hook mission. So adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing positive and negative numbers. And I just have this little chart here that kind of tells you how to do it, what the rules are. So when you're adding two numbers, if they're both positive or both negative, you add and then take the sign that's with them. So we all know 3 plus 7 is 10. Positive 3, positive 7, our answer is going to be positive. But negative 3 plus negative 4, we know that 3 plus 4 is 7. And since both these numbers are negative, our answer will be negative, negative 7. That's what it's saying. So we're going to add and then take the sign. So there's the sign on 3 plus 7. Both of those are positives. So we're going to add 3 plus 7, then take the positive sign. Positive 10 is our answer. For negative 3 plus negative 4, well, we know 3 plus 4 equals 7. So we'll put that. And then both the numbers are negative, so our answer will be negative, negative 7. That's how you would add numbers that have the same sign. Where it gets a little tricky is if they have different signs. So for example, negative 5 plus 9. That's the same as saying, basically how I think about it is I take 5 away from the bigger number to cancel out that negative 5, and we're left with 4. So basically, what's the difference between the bigger number and the smaller number? So in negative 5 plus 9, 9 is obviously bigger than 5, so our answer is going to be positive. What's the difference between 9 and 5? Well, it's 4, right? So you could look at negative 5 plus 9 as being the same thing as 9 minus 5. In this example, the negative number is the bigger number, right? 13 is bigger than 8. So what we're going to do, what's the difference between 13 and 8? 13 minus 8, that's 5. So we know our answer is going to be 5. And since 13 is our bigger number and it's negative, it's going to be a negative final answer, negative 5. Negative 13 plus 8 is negative 5. And that makes sense because 13 is 5 bigger than 8, and it's negative, right? So when there's a different sign and you're adding them, whatever number is bigger, the sign attached to that is what the final answer will be. So 13 is bigger than 8, it's a negative number, so our answer will be negative. 9 is bigger than 5, it's a positive number, so our answer will be positive. That's how that works. When you subtract, the rule is to change and add the opposite. So negative 3 subtract positive 4. That's pretty much the same thing as negative 3 plus negative 4. So we're changing to add the opposite. So we're adding the opposite. Opposite of plus 4 is negative 4. So we're going to add negative 4. So negative 3 plus negative 4, that would be negative 7. So we're going to change the sign and add the opposite. So we're going to change the subtract to a plus and this negative to a positive. So that will be the same as negative 5 plus 9, which equals 4, right? So these are the rules. Change to add the opposite. And then when you multiply and divide, pretty simple. If you're multiplying two positive numbers or two negative numbers, the answer will always be positive, right? So 8 times 8 is 64, but negative 8 times negative 8 is also 64. And when you have different signs, so negative 8 times positive 8, that's when you'll have a negative answer, or negative 64. So integer rules, I can't spend too much time on them, but they're all right here. If that's confusing, watch a quick video on YouTube. You can find them everywhere. You should know how to add, subtract, multiply, and divide positive and negative numbers by now. That's the first step. Then we started combining like terms. So for example, we had a question like this. 3x squared plus 4 minus 7x squared. But we can simplify that and make it a little smaller. And here's how we did it. The first step is always to mark what terms are the same. So x squareds and the x squareds, right? Then I always write them next to each other. 3x squared minus 7x squared plus 4. And you can simplify that down to negative 4x squared plus 4 if you just do the math. Second example, we have 2x squared plus 3y plus 5x minus 9 plus 8y minus 8x plus 6x squared. So we're going to mark what are the same, right? The x squareds are in yellow, the x's are in pink, the y's are in blue, and this is numbers, regular numbers are in green. And I'm going to put those next to each other. 2x squared plus 6x squared plus 3y plus 8y plus 5x minus 8x minus 9. Most important thing when you're remembering to combine and simplify these like terms is that this sign in front of the number is part of that number. Yes, it's 8x, but because we're minusing 8x, it's a negative 8x, not just 8x. So we're not just adding 8x to 5x, we have to subtract it. So these signs are important to stick with the numbers. You put them next to each other like that, then you can simplify, right? 2 plus 6 is 8x squared. 3 plus 8 is 11y. 5 minus 8 is negative 3, so minus 3x, and then minus 9. I can't spend too much more time on that either. But being able to simplify and combine like terms is an important thing to be able to do as well. All right. We then solved equations using the balance method. We started with one-step questions like this: x minus 8 equals 20. With the goal being to get x by itself on one side of the equal sign. So what's stopping x from being by itself on one side of the equal sign? We're subtracting 8. It's on the same side. So how do we get rid of it? We do the opposite operation to get x by itself. So if we're adding, the opposite is subtracting. Subtracting, the opposite is adding. Multiplying, opposite is dividing. Dividing, the opposite is multiplying. And the most important rule is what you do to one side of the equal sign, you have to do to the other, or else it won't be equal anymore, right? So opposite of minus 8 is plus 8. We do that to one side, we do it to the other side as well. That cancels out the minus 8 and the plus 8. We're left with 20 plus 8. X equals 28, right? X plus 12 is the opposite of that. Subtract 12. You gotta do it to both sides. 32 minus 12 is 20. 3x equals 24. We're timesing by 3. Opposite of that is dividing by 3. Do it to both sides. X equals 8. Dividing by 5, opposites multiplying by 5. Do it to both sides. X equals 500. And what's great about algebra, like I always say, is you can put the number back in that you found and check and see if it works, right? If it doesn't work, you have the wrong answer. If it works, you're great. We then made it a little more complicated. We added 2 steps to solving it instead of just 1. So for example, 4x plus 2 equals 34. Doing the same steps, it's just we have to do it 1 extra time. So what's stopping 4x from being by itself? Well, we're multiplying by 4 and we're adding 2. So let's start by getting rid of the add 2, by subtracting 2 from both sides. If we do that, the plus 2 and the minus 2 cancel out. We're left with 34 minus 2, which is 32. 4x equals 32. Now why isn't x by itself? Well, it's being times by 4. So we have to do the opposite, or divide by 4. You have to do that to both sides. And if you do that, your answer you find is x equals 8. You can put that back into the question, check and see if it works. If it does, you got the right answer. 9x minus 10 equals 35. We're going to get rid of that minus 10 first by adding 10 to both sides. Minus 10 plus 10 cancel out. 35 plus 10 is 45. 9x equals 45. We're timesing by 9, so we're going to have to divide by 9. And if we do that to both sides, x equals 5. Last one, x over 7 plus 8 equals 21. So we're going to get rid of that plus 8 first by subtracting 8 from both sides. 21 minus 8 equals 13. So x over 7 equals 13. Times by 7 on both sides, get rid of the divide by 7. 13 times 7 is 91. X equals 91. So that's how you do the question, right? It's just one more step to do it, but the same methods or what ideas are behind it. We then introduce the distributive property, which is when you have a number outside of brackets with things inside of it. How are we going to do that math? So I'm trying to show you here 5 bracket 2 plus 5. If you add the 2 plus 5, you get 7. 5 times 7 is 35. That's one way to do it, right? But I'm also showing you that you can also just combine it. And instead of doing 5 times 7, you do 5 times 2 plus 5 times 5. And that's going to give you the same answer of 35 at the end, right? And that's going to help us knowing that, because when algebra comes, we don't know all of our numbers, so we can't simplify it down this way like we did. We have to do it a little differently. So 3x minus 7, you can simplify that to 3x minus 3 times 7, 3x minus 21, right? And then once it gets to look like this, you know how to handle or solve a question like that, right? 7x plus 4 equals 7 times x plus 7 times 4, 7x plus 28. You'd be able to solve a question like that. And I put a little graphic here on how to use the distributive property in case you want to look at it a little longer. And then we use that to get to our final topic we covered, or solving equations part 3, where we had x's on both sides of the equal sign. So the methods or the ideas are still the same. We're trying to get x by itself on one side of the equal sign. How are we going to do that? So 4x minus 7 equals x plus 2. We're going to start by getting rid of the x on this one side of the equal sign. So if we're adding x, we have to subtract x, do it to both sides. The x and the minus x cancel out. 4x minus x equals 3x minus 7 equals 2, right? Then you get rid of the minus 7. How do we do that? We add 7 to both sides. 2 plus 7 is 9. So we're left with 3x equals 9. We're timesing x by 3. To get it by itself, we divide by 3. 9 divided by 3 is 3, right? You can put that into the question and check and see if it works. So let's do that. 3 times 4 is 12, minus 7 is 5. So the left side equals 5. And then 3 plus 2 is 5. Right side equals 5. If left side and right side both equal each other, you got the answer right. So that's great about algebra, like I just said. You can check your answer and see if you got it right yourself. This question here, we're gonna use the distributive property. So 5 times bracket x plus 6 is the same as 5x plus 30, right? Because 5 times x is 5x. 5 times 6 is 30. Now we want to get rid of the negative 3x on this side. So we're going to add 3x to both. These two cancel out. We're left with 8x plus 30 equals negative 10. We then get rid of the plus 30 by subtracting 30. If you do that, you get 8x equals negative 40. Divide both sides by 8 to get 8x by itself. X equals negative 5. One more example. That's kind of a lot of steps to that question, right? But if you know the rules and how to do it, it's not too complicated. And the last example I have time to go over with you guys before my video cuts out. We got 7x minus 2 equals 5, bracket x plus 4. So we're going to first distribute this 5 to make it look like this side, right? So if we do this, it would look like 5x plus 20, because 5 times x is 5x, 5 times 4 is 20. We're then going to get rid of the 5x by subtracting it from both sides. These two cancel out. You're left with 2x minus 2 equals 20. You're going to get rid of the 2 so by adding it to both sides. Cancels out, equals 2x equals 22 is left. Divided by 2, x equals 11. So I know there's a lot of steps to these questions, and I had to go over them really fast in this video because I only have 15 minutes. If you're just watching this and you're extremely lost, please reach out. I'm more than happy to sit down with you one-on-one for a half hour, however long it takes, to just kind of go over these ideas a little slower. But if you watch this and it makes sense, great. I'm going to post attached to this video these extra bonus questions. We are moving on to a new unit today, so I'm not going to mark them. But just if you want to practice doing this so you know that you can do it and you know that you know what you're doing, these questions are here for you to try. And I put the answers on the bottom so you can check and see, oh, yeah, I got the right answer or I didn't. And I'm going to post, new unit stuff today. So good luck, and yeah. Hopefully that worked. I don't see my thing right now.